The evolution of timekeeping devices has been a remarkable journey through human history. From sundials to pocket watches and ultimately to the wristwatch. A revolutionary innovation that not only transformed how we track time but also how we accessorize. The origin and development of watches can be traced back to ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians, Babylonians, Greeks, and Romans, who used sundials, water clocks, candle clocks, and other methods to keep track of time. However, these devices were not portable or accurate enough for practical use. The history of the most antique wristwatch is a tale of ingenuity, changing societal norms, and the fusion of technology and fashion. Wearing a timekeeping device on the wrist may seem commonplace today, but it was met with skepticism in its early days. According to the definition of an antique wristwatch as a watch that is at least 100 years old, and has a significant historical or artistic value. The most antique wristwatch is the Breguet No. 2639, which was made in 1812 by the famous French watchmaker Abraham Louis Breguet. But the concept of wearing a watch on the wrist can be traced back to the 16th century. Queen Elizabeth I of England is said to have worn an arm watch that was essentially a small clock on a bracelet. The late 19th century witnessed the emergence of wristwatches as delicate pieces of jewelry, predominantly worn by women. These early wristwatches were more ornamental than practical, reflecting the prevailing belief that pocket watches were the only acceptable way to keep time. However, the winds of change were about to sweep through horology. The turning point for the wristwatch came during the tumultuous years of the Boer War, 1899–1902. The demands of combat made it evident that the traditional pocket watch was ill-suited for the battlefield. Soldiers, both out of necessity and practicality, began strapping watches to their wrists. What had initially been perceived as a feminine accessory suddenly found its place on the wrists of men in uniform. This shift marked the beginning of the wristwatch's journey from a mere adornment to an indispensable tool. The early 20th century witnessed crucial technological advancements that paved the way for the proliferation of wristwatches. Miniaturization of movements and increased accuracy of timekeeping mechanisms made it feasible to create smaller, more reliable watches that could comfortably be worn on the wrist. Prestigious watchmakers like Rolex and Cartier recognized this emerging trend, and started producing wristwatches tailored for men. This transition from utility to fashion was further bolstered by the emergence of iconic models that would forever shape the history of the wristwatch. In 1926, Rolex introduced the Oyster, a groundbreaking innovation that changed the game for wristwatches. The Oyster was not just a timekeeping device, it was a feat of engineering that combined elegance with functionality. Its waterproof and dustproof design addressed concerns about the durability of wristwatches, solidifying their status as reliable companions in various environments. The Oyster not only revolutionized watchmaking, but also set the stage for the wristwatch's ascent to becoming a symbol of prestige and luxury. The global stage provided yet another pivotal moment for the wristwatch's history. World War I illuminated the practicality of wristwatches in combat scenarios. Soldiers found it far more convenient to glance at their wrists than to fumble for pocket watches while navigating the challenges of the battlefield. Trench watches, designed with protective features and legible dials, gained popularity among soldiers and civilians alike, embodying the fusion of style and utility. As the 1920s unfolded, the wristwatch's journey into the realm of fashion gained momentum. The Art Deco movement influenced design, giving rise to watches characterized by geometric shapes, bold lines, and intricate detailing. Brands like Cartier, Jaeger-LeCoultre, and Omega embraced the marriage of horology and aesthetics, creating timepieces that not only measured time but also expressed individuality and status. The history of the most antique wristwatch encapsulates the spirit of innovation and adaptation. From its hesitant beginnings as a piece of jewelry to its triumphant rise as an essential accessory, the wristwatch transformed our relationship with time. It bridged the gap between functionality and fashion, offering a canvas for creativity to flourish. The wristwatch's journey reminds us that even the most timeless of inventions evolve, reflecting the changing tides of culture, technology, and style. Thanks for watching and feel free to subscribe for more such content in the future.